All right, so you're a seasoned cybersecurity pro, right? And you're looking to make that jump into the cloud, but it's a bit of a jungle out there. It can be super confusing. Well, today, we're going to clear that path. We've got a super clear three-stage roadmap to guide you. Let's dive in. And look, you're not alone in feeling this way. It's a huge challenge. The world of cloud security certs, it really does feel like a maze, doesn't it? There's so many options, and trying to figure out where to even start, it's enough to make your head spin. But trust me, there is a proven path through it all.
You know, the real key here is building a complete skill set. This isn't about just snagging one random certification and calling it a day. No, it's about layering your knowledge in a really smart, strategic way. And the source material for this explainer, it lays out this awesome three-stage approach. And that's what we're going to walk through right now.
So, here's the entire journey in a nutshell. First, we build the foundation. You got to know the core principles. Then, we level up. We get that management point of view. And finally, then we specialize, getting our hands dirty with the skills for specific cloud platforms. So let's start right at the beginning, shall we?
Okay, stage one, this is all about laying that solid groundwork. And the keyword here is vendor neutral. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't build a house without a solid foundation, right? You have to understand the whole landscape before you can start putting up walls. And that's exactly where the CCSK comes into play. So, the Certificate of Cloud Security Knowledge, or CCSK for short, this thing has some serious street cred. It wasn't just another certification that popped up. No way. It was the very first vendor-neutral cloud security cert, all the way back in 2011. And that kind of history, that gives it some major credibility and respect in the industry.
So what's the CCSK all about really? At its heart, it answers one crucial question. What is actually different about doing security in the cloud versus the old school way? It's designed specifically for pros like you, who already get traditional IT, but need to wrap their heads around the totally new rules, the new risks, the whole new way of thinking that comes with the cloud.
And don't think for a second this is some dusty old cert that's stuck in the past. Not at all. The latest version is totally up to date. It's got everything from Kubernetes and containers to stuff like CNAPP and SASE, zero trust architecture, and even the security side of AI. It makes sure that foundation you're building is based on what's happening in the real world right now.
All right, once you've got that solid technical foundation poured and set, we can move on to stage two. This is where we zoom out a bit. We're going to elevate our view from the trenches, from the hands-on stuff, to a more high-level strategic perspective. It's the big shift from just doing the security work to actually managing it.
And that brings us to the CCSP, the Certified Cloud Security Professional. Now, this is a big deal. It's a team-up between the folks who made the CCSK, that's the Cloud Security Alliance, and ISS Square, the people behind the legendary CISSP. And the CCSP's entire mission, it's all about managing and governing an organization's cloud security strategy.
Probably the easiest way to think about it is like a direct sequel or the next level in a game. The CCSP takes all those core concepts you nailed down with the CCSK and then looks at them through the eyes of a manager or a director. So it's way less about the nitty-gritty how-to for one specific tool and much more about the big picture, how do we manage this whole thing for the entire cloud ecosystem.
And this comparison just lays it out perfectly. Look at the CCSK. Its focus is on technology, the secure use of the cloud. The audience? Technical pros. And the exam? It's open book. You can even do it from home. Now flip over to the CCSP. The focus shifts to management and governance. The audience becomes managers and directors. And that exam? Oh yeah, that's a formal closed book deal at a proper testing center. You see, two totally different roles with two perfectly matched certs.
Okay, this next part is super important. It's a core idea that our source material really hammers home, and it's all about the difference between understanding the why of cloud security versus knowing the how.
So those first two stages, the CCSK and the CCSP, they are all about the why. They give you that absolutely critical vendor-agnostic knowledge. They teach you how to answer the really big questions, like who is actually responsible for what? What really changes from our old infrastructure? Where do we even deploy our controls? When do we tackle certain priorities? And the biggest one, why is cloud security so darn different in the first place?
And let me be clear, having this high-level why is non-negotiable. It's what lets you think strategically, what lets you apply best practices no matter what cloud platform you're on. It's essential, but it's not the whole story. There's still a really important piece of this puzzle missing.
You guessed it, it's the how, right? The actual hands-on stuff.
How do you configure a security group in AWS? How do you set up identity and access management in Azure? How do you lock down a container in Google Cloud? That practical knowledge, well, that brings us to our final stage.
Okay, stage 3. This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. This is all about taking that amazing foundational and management knowledge you've built up and actually applying it in the real world on specific cloud platforms.
And if you take away only one thing from this whole roadmap, let it be this. Vendor-specific certifications are not where you start. They are the final step. Let me say that again. You build the universal foundational principles first, and only then do you learn how to apply them with the specific tools from AWS or Azure or Google Cloud.
So, let's take a quick look at the big players here. You've got your top 3, AWS, Azure, and Google. And for each one, you'll see a pattern. There are certifications focused on architecture and on security. The source really points to these as the go-to paths. See that focus? Solutions architect, security engineer. These are the roles where you're really in the thick of it, putting all that knowledge to work.
Okay, a little bit of practical advice, straight from the source material. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, but which one do I pick first? The recommendation is to focus on either AWS or Azure to start. Now look, this is no shade on Google Cloud. Its tech is fantastic. This is purely a strategic career move based on current market share. Right now, AWS and Azure are the biggest players, which just means there might be more job opportunities out there.
So there you have it, the 3 stages: foundation, management, and then specialization. It's a really clear roadmap to get you from where you are today to becoming a legit cloud security expert. But following this path brings up one last really important question. What's the best way to actually learn all this stuff?
Now, on this topic, our source material has a very strong opinion. The author makes the case that if you're serious about this, especially for an organization, you should invest in your people with structured, instructor-led training. The argument is that it really sets the stage for success. It's a powerful pitch for setting people up to win from the get-go.
But you know what? At the end of the day, the choice is totally yours. Maybe you're someone who thrives in a structured class with a teacher. Or maybe you're a disciplined self-studier. Either way is fine. The path itself is now crystal clear. The real key is to take this 3-stage journey and ask yourself, which learning style is going to get me to my goals? Which path will help me take that first step and then the next one? So, what's it going to be?